Oftentimes, the average viewer gets caught up in the entertainment part of film, the action, the suspense, the romance, and this leads them to overlook the film's larger purpose. What is the film trying to convey? How does it relate to today's societal, political, or economic climates? It is this added layer which can turn an enjoyable movie into a masterpiece which is studied for years to come. Tambien and Parasite, both critically acclaimed foreign films, managed to entertain audiences while exposing societal and economic inequalities present in the film's setting, Mexico and South Korea. By analyzing both films through a Marxist lens, we will try to answer the following question. Y Tu Mamá Tambien follows two young men, Tenoch and Julio, on a carefree cross-country escapade with a gorgeous older woman, Luisa, where they find a connection with each other, themselves, and the world around them. Although not explicitly stated, Alfonso Cuarón and Emmanuel Lubezki's mise-en-scène reveal an essential difference in Tenoch and Julio's background. In an interview with IndieWire, Cuarón states how he wanted to have the camera veer from the actors at certain times to show the true nature of class in Mexico, as if the film was shot in a documentary style. Upon showing off Tenoch's home, the choice to include the various stairways and hallways adds to the grandeur sense of Tenoch's upper-class mansion. Furthermore, the choice to follow the maid emphasizes Tenoch's high and wealthy status, evident in the large appliances and leather seats that surround him, as well as the service he gets from the maids. In the next shot, Julio walks around his crowded apartment in the middle-class neighborhood, juxtaposing Tenoch's home. The small space, the wooden furniture, the small spatial difference between the dining room and the bathroom, and the clothesline attached outside of the window all contribute in creating a contrast to Tenoch's palace. Cuarón has commented on the boys' names, representative of their class. Tenoch's name is derived from an Aztec name, a trend elites partook in to seem more compassionate to the lower classes. Julio's last name, on the other hand, takes from revolutionary Emiliano Zapata, who fought for redistribution of land for the working class in the Mexican Revolution, symbolic of Julio's status in Mexico as a son to a working-class family. Julio spends all his time with Tenoch and pretends to be of higher status, going to parties, weddings, taking advantage of athletic clubs, and ultimately ignoring the problems of the working class. By showing the boys joking around amidst protests and deaths from individuals of the working class, Cuarón criticizes the ignorance that the upper class has for proletariat issues. As pointed out by Ernesto Acevedo Muñoz, an assistant professor of film studies at Colorado Boulder, the inequality and the economic gap between the upper class and the lower class in Mexico is frequently exhibited throughout the film, a key moment being when the trio drives to the town of a newlywed girl, the Queen. The moment is a stark exhibitor of the dramatic difference between the classes. In the first few minutes of the film, we see a wedding take place with bowls, tuxes, and bars, only to later glance over a simple wedding with few townspeople that request money in exchange for access to the road. Although overt clashes never occur between the classes, the tensions still deeply penetrate the film and its characters. It is revealed that Tenoch uses his foot to lift up the toilet in Julio's house, something he does at the cheap motel, exemplifying his degrading attitude towards the working class. On the other hand, Julio tries to fit in with the upper class, lighting a match to mask the smell after using the restroom at Tenoch's house. As analyzed by NYU Tisch alumni Andrea Paul in an article for The Artifice, these simple revelations by the voiceover narrator reveal the undeniable divisions between classes and attitudes in the country, despite an image that they live harmoniously together. Just as Mexico itself attempts to put up a facade of maturity and authority when in fact inequality and corruption pervade, these teenage boys cannot stick to the manifesto. Luisa stirs up the homeostasis, and the differences between the two protagonists become more pronounced, resulting in a vicious competition. They denounce each other and sling class-based insults back and forth in an attempt to both dominate and re-establish balance. Tenoch calls Julio a pinche nacote and aribasta, which translates roughly to a commoner or a social climber, while Julio replies piruri de mierda, or shitty petty bourgeoisie. In this moment, the peaceful coexistence amongst these two figures, representative of two classes, ceases to function and is symbolic of the class inequality present in Mexico. Luisa is the medium between both the boys and thereby their classes. This is expressed in her current upper-middle-class relationship with Tenoch's cousin, as well as the narration that reveals that she lived an impoverished life as a youth. Luisa tries to instill a sense of peace within the two boys, trying to teach them to work together and avoid conflict. The film does this by using sex as a symbol for coexistence. Luisa is able to seduce both the boys because of her unique experiences. In a drunken climax, Luisa seduces both the boys at the same time, leading them to find peace in a homoerotic moment. However, it becomes apparent in the sober light of the morning that the reconciliation cannot happen. Through narration, we learn that Julio and Tenoch won't speak to each other after the trip, until they meet on the street, and after that encounter, they never speak again. The relationship that both the characters represent, the working class and the upper class, is important to take into consideration in the final scene. From a Marxist lens, it can be perceived that the concluding statement is that the two characters representing class can never live in peaceful coexistence, at least under the capitalist system that undervalues the working class. Parasite follows the rise and fall of the symbiotic relationship between the wealthy Park family and the destitute Kim clan amidst an environment infused with greed and class discrimination. Similarly to Y tu mamá también, Parasite also uses the world around the characters to portray class difference. In an interview with IndieWire, Parasite cinematographer Hong Kyung-pyo speaks to the usage of lighting, specifically the sun, as well as visual architecture to convey status and power. Within the first 5 minutes of the film, it is clear where the Kims stand in society. The semi-basement is small, bug-infested, and lacks privacy. The only sunlight that comes into the room is through the small window, which perceives a limited amount of sun due to its placement. In contrast, the Park's mansion is surrounded by glass walls and open skies, allowing sunlight to fill the home all day. Because the Parks are higher up in society, they can afford to be physically higher up than the rest of the population, and therefore closer to the sun. Through this visual architecture alone, the status of both families is heavily expressed. Furthermore, throughout many interviews, Bong Joon-ho has expressed the importance of stairs as a symbol for class separation. In the Park's home, the stairs go up to personal rooms, where in the Kim's house, the stairs ascend towards a toilet. The division of class is further emphasized in how the Kims ascend up hills and stairs to reach the Parks' home. Most significantly, the first time the sun is shown in the film is when Ki-woo ascends the stairs to the Parks' home, re-emphasizing their position in the upper class as well as representing the journey towards economic mobility that the Kims are to pursue under the Parks' employment. Throughout the movie's montage, the parasitic paradox that the film presents becomes very apparent. The upper class uses the working class's manpower to retain their high-status lifestyle, and in return, the Kims abuse the Park's trust to improve their own economic situation. However, when we meet the man living in the Park's basement, the physical embodiment of the parasite is revealed. A man who reaps the scraps the Parks leave in exchange for constant suffering and work, providing the illusion of an automatic lighting system. Through this character, director Bong represents the Marxist idea that for the upper class to experience pleasure, the lower class must experience pain. This idea is further emphasized by the usage of stairs. To get to the lower class neighborhoods, the Kims descend past hills and stairs as seen in the rain sequence when the Kims escape the Park home. And additionally, when the parasite is revealed, the camera follows Chung Suk's descent down a lengthy, dark, never-ending series of stairs, characterizing the basement man as a representation of South Korea's extreme lower class. With the introduction of this third family, the film begins exposing the true parasite, capitalism. Instead of working together to take down the economic elite, the two lower-class families fight to gain control of the home, resorting to violence, which leaves the basement man's wife dead. Through a Marxist lens, this exposes the arbitrary distinction put in place by the capitalist system that divides the working class, and sets the proletariat to compete against one another for scraps from the table of the rich and powerful. This sense of selfishness, greed, and violence is clearly exhibited in the party scene of the film. The man in the basement ascends to attack the Kim family, leaving Ki-woo unconscious, stabbing Ki-young, and attacking Chung Suk. The violence then extends as Ki-taek murders his boss for prioritizing his unconscious son over the impaled Ki-young. His violence is pointed toward the upper class and their entitlement over the working class. However, the violence is ineffective as represented in the conclusion of the film. The final sequence shows how, after the events, a new family inhabits the mansion. Meanwhile, the Kims remain in their semi-basement, and Ki-taek takes the role of the basement man. This portrays the cyclical parasitic nature that the capitalistic system presents. As long as there is a capitalist system in place, a positive and peaceful relationship between the classes will be impossible. As within a system based on greed and jealousy, pain will always persist. Through their unique characters and the world built around them, both Y tu mamá también and Parasite are able to portray the class separation present in both Mexico and in South Korea, which also permeate throughout capitalist nations across the world. The relationships among the characters expose the parasitic and violent nature that lies beneath the seemingly pacifist mirage amongst the classes. So next time you go watch a film, try to look a little further into how it reflects upon today's society. Hey, you may just find something interesting enough to write about.